Have you ever noticed that children don't need extraordinary moments to experience delight? They'll laugh at the way sunlight dances across the floor. Somewhere along the way, many of us become incredibly good at getting through the day, but not always experiencing it. What if delight isn't something we find? What if it's something we just slowly stopped noticing? You're listening to Solving for Joy. I'm your host, Dr. Chrissy Ott, a multi-boarded integrative physician and professional certified life and career coach. This podcast is about joy, what it means, how we find it, and the creative ways people are solving for it in their own lives. I'm so glad you're here. We're continuing our Practice of Joy series, and today we're exploring one of my favorite pillars, delight. When I say delight, I'm not talking about chasing extraordinary experiences or pretending life isn't hard. I'm talking about cultivating the capacity to notice, receive, and savor the goodness that's already present in our day-to-day lives. Delight does not erase grief. It does not ignore pain. It simply reminds us that the beauty and sorrow we experience are allowed to exist together. Today, our guest is my dear friend, Jen Jones. Jen has spent decades studying contemplative traditions, embodiment, ritual, and our relationship with the natural world. Before we begin, I just want to say Jen is one of my favorite people. I feel grounded in her presence, and this is such a trustworthy place to have this conversation. I think Jen can help us understand something that's easy to forget, that before we deeply experience delight, we often have to recover our capacity for wonder. So, Jen, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So good to be here and to see you. Yeah.
So glad you're here. I would love to help our listeners deeply understand what happens to our childlike wiring for delight. Why do you think that our awareness of delight might change as we grow older?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one that, many have spent time contemplating, and I'm not sure there's 100% answer, but my sense is that, I think children spend much more time in the present moment. They're not really building their world around the past and the future. They are much more able to just remain in the now. And so that ability to just be present, I think, is where we find delight, where we find wonder. And so as we get older and we start to spend more time in the minds of hope and fear, grasping and aversion, worrying about the future, regretting the past, worrying about the past, regretting the future. That's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, I think that's where we get kind of lost. I mean, it's hard to notice just these moments of simplicity of living, being alive in this kind of miracle of planet Earth when we are just in a caught in rumination.
Yeah. Anticipatory regret is not something I've explored yet, but I'm loving that concept. To uncover.
We really do it all the time. It's like, well, should I order this or that? And we're already regretting which taco to get.
So true. So relatable. Yeah. I do not disagree. I think being in the present moment is one of the doorways to delight as well. And children are more deeply present because they have not become intellectually imbalanced or upwardly displaced, as our common Dharma teacher, Jennifer Wellwood, describes it. I'd love to, offer a little bit of a glimpse at, what practices you find useful in developing that practice of coming back to the present moment, and how your work sort of helps inform that for folks.
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways. I think this is, all of the contemplative traditions are focused on this more or less in many ways. And so I don't know if there's any particular one way or right way. I think it's many, many ways. I mean, for me, I am someone who's very aware of my energy, like where my energy is in any particular moment. If it's upwardly displaced, I can really somatically feel that. So for me, it's really checking in with that. I have just a practice of kind of checking in with where is my energy and trying to bring that back to a grounded place, shifting my sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic through longer exhaling, sometimes just simply feeling gravity. Like, we are hurtling through the vastness of space. And somehow the earth is holding us to her, this invisible force called gravity. And I love just to take a moment and feel that. I feel being held by that force. That very much brings me back to the here and now. I think that there are many ways. I think breath, I think meditation, movement. I do believe that practices that create flow states, art practices, movement practices are very good for that. I think any sort of concentrated focus, whether that's just looking at a painting or reading, writing, can have that quality. So it doesn't have to be some sort of mystical thing. It can be something extremely simple. I think actually eating is a great way. Just really taking time to taste food and the quality and the texture of that.
Yeah. All these invitations into presence, which is sometimes described as mindfulness. Was there a time in your own life when you realized that delight was harder to connect with?
Definitely. Every day. Yeah. I think for me, I noticed that it's really difficult to connect with delight when I am in a very overly analytical, overly ruminating, trying to control or predict the future, worrying about things that may or may not happen. It really does zap delight completely. And it really is a very heavy feeling to be in that place. It's very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, it's very difficult to access delight.
Yeah. When our mind is clinging to what is problematic, it is very difficult to access delight, or what it's perceiving as being problematic is probably more accurate to say.
Yeah. And what I would really say, to be more precise about that, is anytime I allow uncertainty to be where I'm really not understanding the reality of uncertainty, like really any moment is uncertainty. This is called life.
Yes.
And, but when I actually think I can avoid uncertainty, so I'm not actually just settling into the discomfort of uncertainty, I'm fighting it. And that's what rumination, worry, control, over planning, overthinking is. It's just me not allowing myself to find a moment of comfort in the unceasing discomfort of uncertainty.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun to get into these depths with you. I think, the difference between surrender to uncertainty and absolute nihilism is also important to discover. Like, oh yeah, giving ourselves into the nature of reality, which is inherent uncertainty, does not mean that we never do anything intelligent to prepare or protect ourselves.
Right. Exactly. Right. It's that fine line between this sense of having some sense of sovereignty over our experience and surrender to the deeper reality that life is so complex we can't really know, and also impermanence, right? So everything is in a state of flux and movement. And I really think this goes back to delight, because everything is in a state of flux and movement. So trying to predict or control that is antithetical to that flux and movement. And so really for me, delight is kind of resting in that, like resting in uncertainty, resting in the movement itself. And that's where we begin to find wonder. I'm not sure if I'm saying that clearly, but it's like, it's not a surrender to something scary. It's more like a magic art, right?
Oh, I like that. I was feeling wonder arise just in that reflection. I think, awe and wonder are close friends, but I do wonder if wonder is one of the ways that we become available to tune into the experience of delight.
That's beautiful. I think they go really hand in hand. I mean, in this moment, it's almost like you can call it in if you wonder. It's difficult to describe what wonder is. I think it's unique for every person. And sometimes we think of a moment in our lives or just a sense or a feeling. And the minute we touch that, almost like delight is there.
Yeah, so many things are there the minute we touch that. I'm reminded of my producer Kelsey's toddler who says, wow, a lot right now. He's not quite 2 years old. And he just says, wow, all the time.
Yeah.
He's in a continual state of wonder. And part of that is novelty. And part of that is recognizing that, wow, things really are amazing here on this planet. Wow, what a mystery. Wow, what a miracle.
True. It's true. Right. I always say there's no other Eden. I mean, here we
Mm.
are, this blue pearl in the vastness of space that has the perfect atmosphere to create this life and this beauty and this complexity. And yeah, we stop for a moment and just take that in, and it's both the most expansive feeling and the most welcoming feeling. It's like I'm a part. I'm not observing this from some distant place. I'm integral to this
Yeah, I'm wrapped
miracle.
up in it.
So wow.
Yeah. Far out.
Delightful.
It is delightful, like stunning. It's stunningly delightful. We're stunned by delight right now. Sometimes that wonder is a sense of mystery and a connection with, as we said, uncertainty. It's not really a part of being the one in charge, being in control, being certain. And I notice that as we age, it's almost like there's a hidden curriculum about how being a mature adult is also integrating a certain amount of cynicism.
Yeah.
Why do you think that we do that? And how do we backpedal away from that?
Mm, such a good question. I guess to what I'm wondering is what the difference between cynicism and a sense of humor is. Like, I think that's another fine line. I mean, I think this for me as I'm aging, I just find more humor and ridiculousness in things. And maybe that's cynical at times, but it's
I mean, we
tinged.
can laugh with mirth, of course, right?
Yeah, there's a lightness
Some
to
dark
it.
humor in there.
Yeah, and so I think people kind of go two ways. I think some people do find this kind of their cynicism has like a sharpness to it. It's uncomfortable. But I think there's another kind of way of just perceiving reality that um just holds it more lightly. You know, doesn't take it so seriously, which I guess is a form of cynicism, but it's got a lighter quality to it. And I think the difference between those is important. I think it's fine to kind of be able to take the piss out of things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's actually really healthy. But if we're just kind of caught in this mode of critique and complaint and doubt and worry, well, that doesn't sound very fun.
No, it doesn't sound very delightful.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we kind of turn that? Like there are real worries. Those are real or real concerns. There are very real critiques. But I think maybe the difference is seeing where, again, when we feel separate from reality and we're looking at it like we can control it, that
It should be a different way.
it should be a different way that or that we have to change it. You know, we take it upon in this very individualistic way. That's where I think that kind of rigid cynicism comes from. But when we see all of the problems, you know, and we see that we're again integral, we're not separate. We're kind of part of this whole dance,
Yeah.
and there's something kind of both poignant and very humorous at the same time about that whole setup. I think that's an easier view, and I think that is again speaking more to what is being uncomfortable versus what is being uncomfortable in uncertainty.
Mhm. I think, you're alluding to, like the gist of our conversation is really that delight is a practice. And how do we practice moving inches or millimeters toward a life that incorporates delight in the daily, even in the face of the war in Iran, even in the face of ice on the streets? even
Right.
in the face of incredible disparity in socioeconomic well-being, institutional racism now being denied, blah, 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 like all the painful parts of our experience and more. But there's
Right.
still a practice. There's still a practice. When I first started Joy Point Solutions, the tagline that came up, and often it's years before I understand something that comes to me in a flash, but it was reclaiming delight in healthcare and beyond. That's what needed to be said underneath the title Joy Point Solutions. And so reclaiming delight and leading people in their own individual practice of delight is what delights me. Like I can feel it coming up in my core. It feels like an upward momentum of energy, and it feels really precious and important.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I think what you're speaking to is, again, like, I'm going to take the eagle eye view here and kind of reflect what you just shared, which is someone seeing that they are part of something that's so vast, that's so complex, healthcare in this country and others and this planet and this time is like, whoa, that's a really mind-boggling complex scenario.
Mm.
And so when we look at that from this kind of place of individuality and ego, really, it's like it's so overwhelming that we either kind of get rigid around that or desperate around that or worried about that or really angry, or all of the above.
Yep.
Or when we really can see that we're like a thread in this great weave that's in constant movement, then something like in my one little thread, I'm going to be joyful and I'm going to honor that and I'm going to reclaim that as something foundational to why I spent my life devoted to this.
Yeah.
That it's like, it's no longer coming to this thing from this egoic, individualistic place. It's like, I'm going to add a note to this music. I'm going to add a taste to this soup through my participation, through my movement through this vast complexity. And that's a really different way to be involved with something. It's a real different way to feel that we're making a difference. And it's palpable. Like we can feel it.
It's right.
Right. It might not show up necessarily in the spreadsheet. It's maybe not quantifiable in those ways, but it's in each moment, it feels authentic. It feels real.
It's giving authentic power.
Yeah. And it's alive.
Yes.
It's moving in the movement, right? Versus like the static kind of, I'm going to change the world. It's really painful. It's very static. It's very static. It's not
It's
a
not
living
flowing.
vat. Yeah. It's a living vat to say, I'm going to honor joy in this incredibly complex thing.
Yes. In this entire Mishigash.
Totally. Yes. This I can do. This I can bow.
That's
I can
right.
bow.
Like, this is the paradox I take on. This is the paradox I embody and share and teach and revel in. I think that, reveling has been coming up a lot lately. And I am actually remembering that so Ani DeFranco has been coming up in the background, listeners. So just to catch you up, we've been also talking a little bit about Ani lately. And she had a CD many years ago called Reveling and Reckoning. But reveling is something that it's almost like as we age, we forget it's okay to revel, to savor, to like fully give ourselves into delight of different flavors. And I think that is like allowing ourselves to revel like a dog in a stinky patch of grass, like. And food is one of those delights, like that's more socially acceptable to revel in. It's fun to find others. Like where can we revel even with the awareness that, we're on this hurtling blue marble with many sufferings at the same time.
Yeah. And I think when I think of revel, I also think of just play, playfulness. And again, I think that's so essential. And play again it's really a verb. It's not a noun. It's movement. And I think we see that in our culture. I actually think that a lot of I kind of hesitate to use the word addiction because I think that's a really loaded word, but truth is, many of us are addicted in one form or another to something.
Maybe all of us.
Yeah. Media, and then, from that to substances, and there's all sorts of things we can be addicted to. So, and I actually think that stems from our human biological need for play, for letting go. But because we live in the mind of hope and fear, we don't spend a lot of time in the present moment. We've kind of lost the ability to do that. We forget kind of how, so we reach for like the thing that we think is going to get us there quickly. Also, play is a function of community. I mean, I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time playing alone, but I had a lot of stuffed animals. I had lots of pets, like I was really never alone in my play. And I think that with this rise of feeling alone in the world, the sense of loneliness, people don't know, have kind of forgotten how to play and don't have anybody to play with. And so we reach for the phone. We reach for we reach for these things that take us out of our day-to-day experience, take us somewhere else for a minute. And so I think you're onto something. I think this, what is it to revel or to play or to really let go as another contemplative practice? Really? I mean, I think people think contemplative practice has to be very serious.
Zen. Like
Yeah.
serious black robes and
Yes, just
wooden
sitting on
benches. And
sitting on a mat in a dark room with a candle, staring at the wall, which
it
can
doesn't. I mean, that's beautiful, and it doesn't have to
right,
be that
but
way.
that's not for everyone. So I think that looking at mindful play, mindful revelry, mindful finding of awe and wonder as a contemplative practice is a really powerful idea.
How has that shown up in the way that you work with people? And feel free to help contextualize that for our audience too.
I refer to myself as an ally, sometimes a spiritual counselor. And really the word that I think best describes what I do is Kalyanamitra, which is a Sanskrit word, which means spiritual friend. So it looks a little bit like therapy. I have one-on-one relationships with people over a period of time, sometimes couples, sometimes groups, where we are together kind of talking about our experience of being alive, in this one precious human birth. And so that's kind of what I do. And yeah, in terms of that kind of finding delight or finding play in something like that, I think it comes down to, again, community and friendship. I think it comes to relationship.
Yeah.
I think it comes from being able to just really be your authentic self and to be really witnessed and mirrored by at least one other being on planet Earth. I think that's essential. And it's often quite lighthearted. I think that holding things lightly is akin to the beginner's mind, which is a concept that comes from Zen teaching. Holding it lightly, surrender, play, revelry, and beginner's mind are really the same thing, which takes us back to why are kids able to access the light? Because every moment is a new moment. And I think that's really important to cultivate. It's a practice. I mean, we've trained ourselves out of it as adults. And so, but we can train ourselves back to it.
We
People train to
can.
meditate, people can train to be light, to hold
We
light.
can.
Yes.
I love doing things for the silliness of them sometimes. Like really just like messing with the part of me that wants to be efficient and serious and productive and just do something ridiculous instead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think most people, if you ask and they honestly answer, do weird things when they're singing in the shower or in the car or, I mean, we all
Yeah.
have our
And if
little,
they don't, they should.
they should, yeah, our little inside jokes or just catching yourself in a moment where you're laughing at yourself. It's just so good. And in this time, it's like we reach outside ourselves for that. That's kind of going back to like some addictive behaviors that this culture in general shares. We share this. Sometimes I'll take a moment. This is like a contemplative practice that I'll do regularly where I will just I love to people watch. And so I might find myself like at a cafe or something, and I really will not look at my phone or my laptop. I have them with me, but I'll take a moment to just observe. And sometimes I'm looking for something that I find that's just a little off. Like, just it's often an animal. Like there might be a pet somewhere in this situation, a dog or something that's just doing something really ridiculous. I mean, it can be really anything. And I'll just kind of scan the room or scan the environment or look
Like who's
outside.
wearing mismatched socks? Let's
Yeah.
find
Or just like
something in the environment to
just
notice.
something. And most of the times these things are not even really that funny. They're only funny to me. Right. It's like, there's kind of humor woven through our whole experience. And it's fun to just kind of give that to yourself. Like, oh, that's just delightful. That's funny. That's silly. That's strange. What's going on there? I love when that thought, what's going on there? And I kind of laugh, like, what's going on there?
What is going on there? Other than people watching in cafes, what is something that is personally bringing you a ton of delight these days?
Wow. I mean, honestly, I find that it's an interesting question because I think I've spent a lot of time kind of just weaving that into my life in such a way that I would say in many ways, everything,
Everything.
really, truly everything.
Everything
I
is the
mean,
best answer. I'm delighted by most everything.
I really am.
It's a
I
powerful
really,
stance.
yeah, I find most things to be really either beautiful or strange or some combination of the two. And again, I think it goes back to looking at the movement of things. Like sometimes it's just noticing change, just noticing change. I mean, most of our anxiety is coming from believing that things aren't going to change or aren't changing fast enough, some aspect of our life, our existence, or are changing
Seasons.
too quickly, right?
Yeah,
Too
the
out of
seasons are too slow. The seasons are too fast.
right. Yeah. It's something's moving too fast and we have no control over it. Maybe relationships ending or, something's happening with our health. And so change becomes scary to us. And so it becomes a threat. It's either too slow or too fast. And sometimes it's really helpful just to look out I'm looking at some trees outside of I'm in downtown Portland. There's office buildings everywhere, but there are some trees. And I'm just looking at those trees and I'm looking at them from the place of movement. I have looked at these trees through many seasons. It's high summer now, so they're pretty full. Like I'm noticing they're almost at that peak fullness. That's where everything's going to start to turn brown in about a month. Yeah. And so I can just observe change. I can also see buildings that I know have changed or new buildings in this landscape or things some new graffiti on that one over there. And I'm just kind of adjusting myself to change and noticing that it is everywhere all the time, moving at all sorts of paces. And so the particular change in my life that I'm anxious about in the context of this greater, all pervasive, all moving change, it just takes the edge off. It's like it's going to move at the pace it's moving, no matter what I do. And suddenly it's something that's just consuming and ruminating and anxious making just becomes life, going to move the way it's going to move. And so just taking a moment to feel change is really powerful. It's really
I
powerful.
love that. So many beautiful threads that a listener could hold on to and kind of trace back to a pathway to delight. If you would like to learn more about Jen, the work that she does, you can find her at aprima.materia.com. One thing I'm taking away from our conversation today is that delight isn't something that we have to grow out of. It's a capacity we can and should return to over and over again, and that it often begins simply by paying closer attention. If things have felt heavy or a little cynical for you lately, which would be understandable, I am hoping that today's conversation reminds you that delight isn't reserved just for easier seasons. Sometimes it can appear right alongside ordinary and difficult moments that we have been rushing productively past. This week, maybe try choosing an ordinary moment each day. Not your biggest favorite moment, just an ordinary one. And just drop in deeply for about 10 seconds. Notice what is available to you to see, to hear, to feel, and find out if delight has been there all along, just waiting for you to tune in. If today's conversation resonated with you, please subscribe to the podcast, that the next week's episode is already waiting for you. I hope you'll join me. Until then, keep practicing joy.